in some ways you could describe me as a sort of uh, European-style Christian Democrat, which is a tradition we really don't have in the United States. But when it comes to the economy, that's a good way to describe it. I'm also an adherent of the wisdom of the New Deal order. The New Deal order being that period roughly between 1945 and 1975, when the United States obviously had actually a very dynamic economy, contrary to some of the sort of history that was told afterward. A productive economy, a manufacturing-based economy, where, in short, and I'll wrap up very quickly, that's when you had what's called the Great Compression, where you had this sort of relatively mild redistribution, mainly through good wages and industrial jobs. A middle class was created where your grandparents were able to, for the first time, take real vacations, enjoy disposable incomes, and access healthcare and so on and so forth. So that doesn't mean we have to recreate every element of the New Deal order. The macroeconomic conditions have changed. I recognize that, but the simple premise that an economy that works for working people should be the lodestar of the conservative movement. That this is actually a conservative goal, because just giving in to the market's wild kind of capacities to disrupt and sort of demolish certainties is not necessarily a conservative view, and hasn't been, certainly in continental Europe, has not been what is thought of as on the right. But lots of people in the American tradition who were on the right came to accept this. Dwight Eisenhower, President Nixon, who I think is actually a great underrated president, but we don't need to go into that. But the bottom line is that journey that I described led me to this place where I often find myself at odds with the libertarian wing of the right, even as people describe me as a sort of populist intellectual.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, one of the reasons I was looking forward to this conversation with you is that you're, perhaps because you're not in partisan politics or electoral politics, able to actually explain what your views are, rather than having to shoehorn them into what is palatable while also trying to have an ideology you're trying to backdoor in. And I say that because at least you're open about a few things you just said, which I respect immensely, that you do think that some level of the continued existence of the administrative state is necessary, that you do respect the New Deal order. These are things that I think many Republicans in elected office or pursuing elected office who share some of your convictions would find that difficult to say because of the position they're in.
But they act on it. They don't act on dismantling the state or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's actually my great frustration is people would say that they want to dismantle the administrative state, but don't. But I'm actually saying something quite different, is even on the new right political coalition, I think you're able to be far more lucid in your statement of what actually it entails, rather than effectively representing the vibe of that new right, but then walking it back because that's what the Overton window of the current Republican Party dynamic allows for. And I think so. Forget whether or not this has been conservative ideas or not. I think you can make the case of whether these ideas have been on the right or on the left. But let's just talk about the content of the ideas themselves.